My life didn't feel like it was right. What do I need to change so I can come into an alignment with what I actually really do want and start living from that place? Hello, I have my tea right here. I am ready for this episode. This episode is not going to be for everyone, but I want to talk about something that I get asked about a lot. And I felt like it would be good for me to do an episode for people who are at a time in their lives where this is relevant. So I got a question that came in, and the question was this: how do you schedule your time between business and childcare? How can we be more efficient with what to prioritize so that we can spend enough time with our children? And I get asked this question a lot because I know that if you have young kids, it can be such a struggle to figure out how to actually grow your business, build a business, and have the time for them too. And so I want to dive into this, and I want to share some of the things that have helped me the most. I am absolutely by no means an expert at any of this, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff I haven't yet figured out. But I always really appreciate people taking me behind the scenes so I can see the different perspectives. So I want you to take you behind the scenes of how I do it. So firstly, as I'm filming this right now, I have two children. I have Casey, who is 5, and I have Marley, my little girl, who is 3. I just realized I had unisex names. Casey's a boy and Marley's a girl. And yeah, so a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And I remember when I had Casey back in 2018, I took a lot of time off work. So, I mean, yes, I was checking in on Slack and stuff and, doing little bits here and there, but I really wasn't that present in the business for probably about 8 months. And at first, it was really nice to just spend that time with Casey, and I loved it. And when I had him, I felt like, obviously, my whole world changed. And up until that point, my baby was my business. And all of a sudden, I had him, and he was everything. And I had something all of a sudden that was so much more important to me. And there was a massive part of me that didn't want to think about work. I just felt like I didn't have the mental capacity to think about work. I felt like I wanted to shut off from it completely. I didn't want to think about it. And there was part of me that really questioned everything and just thought, I just want to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't want to even have to think about this. I want to just enjoy being with Casey and not have the pressure of having to keep the plate spinning for work, for my business, and for everything my business was doing. It was, employing people and supporting a membership of people and all the things. And that is, it can be, it's a pressure. It can be heavy at times. I mean, it's an absolute joy as well, but it also is, when you don't have the mental capacity to deal with it and to think about it, it's quite a lot. And so I definitely struggled with it. I also definitely struggled with, feeling guilty for not being as present at work. I remember a couple of months after he was born, we went away on an amazing holiday. And I remember being on a holiday feeling really kind of stressed out. He was, must have been 3 months at the time. And we actually had our best financial month to that date in business. And I didn't even recognize it. I didn't even acknowledge it because I was so caught up with feeling guilty that I wasn't working and feeling stressed because of what's going to happen if I'm not going to come back, and not come back, but just, and when I look back now, I'm like, bloody hell, why did I just give myself a break? And at times, I really did, but there was such an adjustment to go through. And like I said, there was just a huge part of me that didn't want to keep going, didn't want to, just wanting to just forget about the whole business stuff and just stay at home. And then I remember when he was around 8 months, I tried to get back into doing video content. I just say this? I felt like I lost my inspiration for work. I lost my motivation for work. I just didn't know what to say anymore. And my business is kind of founded on what I'm saying in a way. Like, it's about me sharing what I'm learning. It's about me teaching other people. It's about me sharing inspiration. It's about all of that. So if I wasn't feeling inspired for like work and all that stuff, and I just wanted to be home with my kid, then it was like, what do I have to say? Because people don't want to hear me waffling on about my kid. Like, they don't want to hear that. Like, so I found it really difficult to know, like, what do I show up and say anymore? And like I said, when he was 8 months, I remember trying to make some videos, and I really was pushing hard to try and do it. Like, it wasn't coming naturally, and it felt frustrating. So it was kind of very stop and start with it. And then when he was 12 months, I then got pregnant with Marley, and then it was lockdown and COVID, and there were moments where I would feel really fired up and inspired. And you know, I remember just before Marley was born feeling really inspired and fired up and creating a bunch of stuff. And then obviously had her, and again, I just wanted to be with them. I just wanted to enjoy them. I just wanted to spend time with them. Like, when I was with them, I felt lit up. Well, I still do. And that made me so happy and brought me so much joy. And I didn't have to think about the challenges at work, or the next thing I needed to unpick, or like, and also I didn't really have that much creativity left in me. And for me, I feel like I'm in my zone of genius when I have the space to think and to dig deep and to come up with ideas. And, you know, when I'm in that flow, that space to flow, that's when I'm at my best. And I just didn't have that space anymore, because previous to having kids, I would be in that space when I would, you know, if I was working from home, it was just, you know, me and my husband, and we would chat about business, and I would think about business. I would think about ideas. I'd be coming up with creative stuff, and I was constantly in that space where I was allowing things to flow and allowing myself to work through ideas and challenges. And then all of a sudden I had kids, and also had an office. We started the office in 2020. So then I felt like I was always either around people where I wasn't just in a quiet zone space for myself, or I was with my kids where I was then focusing on them. And then, but again, prior to having kids, when we go on a holiday, it was just like a massive download time for me, where I would just download ideas and work through things, and it was amazing. But again, when I had kids, going on holiday was not a holiday anymore, and I was just like when am I going to get this space to kind of come back to myself and be creative? And so it has been a struggle, and it has been an adjustment. And like I said, I haven't got it all perfectly figured out, but a couple of years ago, I got to a point where I was like, I need to figure this out, because I am not happy. And I just thought, I can't carry on this way. So I started to redefine what I wanted my life to be like, what I was acceptable for myself. I started to create non-negotiables for myself, and I began to start to put some more boundaries in place so that I could try and balance more effectively being a mum with having a business and having a team and having employees and having amazing customers. And how do I give all I've got, you know, all I can give to that and to the highest level, so that everyone can be happy and have a wonderful experience? And how do I stay present for my kids and my family so that I can be the mum that I want to be, and so that I can spend the time I want to spend with them, and so that I can enjoy that time? Before I had kids, I worked all the time. I mean, I really loved it, but I worked all the time. I barely ever, you know, I never switched off. When we went on a holiday, it was, like I said, it was a download time for me. Like, I was always on with work. And so, like I said, I made some changes, and this is what I did. I decided that Friday was my non-negotiable family fun day, and that was a day to spend with my kids and to hang out with them. And Casey is now in reception, so he's in school 5 days a week, which makes me so sad. But Marley doesn't go in on a Friday, so Friday is my fun day with Marley now. So Friday is my non-negotiable family fun day. to spend with them. And then the weekends are also my family time, and I don't work on the weekends. I don't even hardly think about work on the weekends unless there's something particularly stressing me out or I've got like an idea that's brewing. I don't do anything work-wise on the weekends. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday are my non-negotiable time with my family. I also wake up, I'm with the kids, I take the kids to school every day. And then I come to the office and I'm making some changes at the moment. So I'm actually going to be not just coming to the office. That is a conversation for another podcast. And then I try to get home by the time, when we can have dinner and do bath time, bedtime, and then I spend time with Kel, my husband. And so in doing that and creating that routine for myself, it really helped me to create the space of knowing on Fridays and the weekend and the evenings, like I'm not doing work. Okay, sometimes in the evenings I do work, but it's not very often. And so I know that in the day on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's my time for work. That's when I'm going to be working. And so so I focus on that. The team know that, and that's what I do. So like I said, it is the reality to that is I'm not working anywhere near as much as I used to. So sometimes it feels harder to progress things because I don't have as much time for it. So for example, when there's lots of things on, which typically there always are, sometimes it can go for like 2 weeks and I'm like, oh, I really need to focus on that thing. But other stuff crops up that I really need to focus on that is also really important. And then I realize the thing that I said I was going to do, I haven't done. And then it can get to like 3 weeks or a month down the line and I still haven't got around to it because I haven't had the time. So for example, recently it's been half term and the kids have been off school for 2 weeks. And so my priority is being able to spend as much time with them. So that has meant that I have sacrificed progressing things at work because some stuff that was on my plate, I've just not had the time to progress it because I've been with them, I've been away. But then having said that, being away, now they're a bit older, we were actually in the motorhome for a bit of it. And just as I was sat there in the motorhome for like 4 hours driving up to Scotland, I had so many ideas and breakthroughs. I was like, oh great, maybe this is the key, is just doing in a motorhome and just being able to sit there and think while the kids are screaming and singing and doing whatever else in the back. So anyway, I want to share then obviously that's an overview of what's helped me, but then this is like a more practical takeaway. If you are in this phase and you've got little kids and you're struggling to juggle and balance it all, this is what I really want to share. Firstly, this is about your life, what makes you happy and what you want, because it's different for all of us. Some people are quite okay to sacrifice spending time with their kids because their desire and drive is to create success so they can give their kids a lifestyle that they want, for example. So that drives some people, and that for some people is the most important thing. For other people, they're not willing to sacrifice the time with their kids. They want to spend that time with their kids, and therefore they're willing to then not dedicate as much time to building a business. And again, like, there's no right or wrong to this. It just comes down to what feels right for you. So I think the most important thing is sitting down and being like, what do I actually want my life to look like? What do I want this to look like? And what is most important to me right now? When I am on my deathbed, what will I look back at and think, oh, that's what mattered most? And I think it's asking yourself those questions of what will you look back on and think, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I made those decisions. What are those decisions you would be making? Because only you know the answer to that. And that's what I did. I sat down and thought about, how do I want this to be? This doesn't feel right. Like my life didn't feel like it was right. And I wasn't feeling at my happiest. And I was like, what do I need to change so I can come into an alignment with what I actually really do want and start living from that place? So asking yourself that question and making those decisions. And if you decide, you know what, spending time with my kids is more important, then amazing. But you just know that you're going to have less time to dedicate to your business. And that's absolutely fine. But the reality of that is probably going to be that it's probably going to take a little bit longer to grow it and to make progress, because you just simply don't have the time to do the things you need to do. And that's fine. It's just acknowledging it and accepting it as a phase of your life. It's a season of your life where you're making that very intentional decision. And I don't think there isn't anything wrong with that. The other thing is setting non-negotiables for yourself. So I think it comes back to this whole boundaries piece of when are you going to be working and when are you going to be spending time with your kids? And create non-negotiables. So like I said, for me, my non-negotiable is Friday and the weekend. And okay, yes, sometimes I break that non-negotiable to myself. It's very, very rare because I have set like a really strong boundary for it. And I think it's important because if you don't set that strong boundary for yourself, it's so easy for just stuff to seep into it. And to, so I really hold that strong boundary for myself. It's only if I absolutely have to do something on a Friday for work or at the weekend that I'll do it. So what are those non-negotiables you want to set for yourself? What does that look like? And how can you make that happen now? And maybe you've got what is going to work for you right now and what the ultimate dream is in a year from now or however long, in 6 months from now, what you can work your way towards. But what are those non-negotiables? And I would get out a calendar. So look at your calendar and literally schedule your time block everything in. So you have time blocked in when you're working and when you're with your kids, when you're with your husband or your partner or whoever, your family, and like just block it in so you know when you are doing what, because then you're not going to feel as scatty, like trying to do it all at the same time and feeling really shit about it. So get out a calendar and plan that in, and maybe it's 15 minutes here or 30 minutes here. It's different for all of us. Some people are juggling 2 jobs and trying to build a business on the side and have little kids. Like, we're all in different situations. So it honestly just comes back down to what feels right for you and giving yourself permission to design the life and design your own calendar the way you want it, and then look at how can you make that work. And there's an element of discipline to it, because it's like with the non-negotiable, like that hard boundary, it is a discipline. It's a discipline to say no, sorry, I can't do this. It's a discipline within yourself, or it's a discipline to show up and say, yeah, I'm actually working right now. So look at your calendar, block out that time, and maybe you've got 5 hours a week for your business. Maybe you've got 10 hours a week. Maybe you've got 40 hours a week. Maybe you've got 2 hours a week. I don't know what you've got, but just lock it in so you know when you're working, when you're with your kids, so that you know how you're showing up in those times, and then show up for it. When you're with your kids, don't have your phone with you. I know, so many of us now on our phones, we've got everything on there. We've got, all the social media stuff. We've got Slack or whatever it is. And it's so easy to get sucked back into work when you've got your phone nearby. So go put your phone somewhere else. So that's time with your kids. And then once you've done that, once you've got that planned in, it's then really getting a focused plan on how do you actually spend the time that you've dedicated to your business so that you can maximize that time so that you can get the most amount of results from it, because it's easy to be busy. And then when you show up, for your kids and you're with your kids, like put your phone somewhere else so that you can't, get distracted by it, because we've all got everything on our phones. We've got, all of our social media, we've got, Slack or whatever it is that you use. And it's so easy to get sucked back in when we have our phone around us when we're with our kids. So I try and put my phone away, and then I'm present with them. And then it makes me feel better because I'm really showing up as a mum I want to be for them. And then when I'm working, I'm working. So, and I think the thing is, it's about giving yourself grace with this, because you're never going to get it perfect. There's always going to be ups and downs. There's always going to have to be times when you have to be flexible, where either the kids need you or the business needs you, and you have to make adjustments and change. Like, that's always going to happen. That's always going to come up. So just, I think, bearing that in mind and giving yourself a break is good. But the other piece is then when you have blocked out your calendar and you know exactly the time you dedicated to work and the time you dedicated to your family, it's then looking at, okay, when you are showing up for both, what are you actually going to be doing with that time to make it really amazing? So on the work side of things, you want to look at how do I create the growth in the fastest, easiest way? And it's so important to get really focused with what you're showing up and doing in that time you've set aside, because it's really easy to be busy doing stuff that isn't actually moving the needle, that isn't actually going to get you a result. It's easy to get shiny object syndrome and to hop from one thing to the next, feeling like you're never having a breakthrough, you're never making progress. And it just feels frustrating because then you think, wait, hang on a second, how come some of those people out there are actually having breakthroughs and actually making money and doing amazing things and I'm not? And so if you are in that place, it's really kind of looking at how do you need to change things? How do things need to shift? And from my perspective, you get shortcuts when you work with people or you join courses or programs where the people who are a few steps ahead of where you're at can shortcut it for you. This is what I have done throughout the whole time I've built businesses. I've learned from other people who have helped it become easier for me. And so I've seen what action I need to take to get a result. So join a community, join a membership, join a program, be part of something, surround yourself with like-minded people who are on the same journey you're on so that they can help you to see the way as well. So anyway, from my perspective, the fundamental things are, one, if you want to build successful businesses, one, you've got to learn how to get people to discover you, how you're going to drive traffic, how you're going to create that visibility. Two, how are you going to get those people to stop, pay attention to you, fall in love with you, love what you're about, love what your business is about. How are you going to be engaging them and, making what you're doing compelling? Three, how are you going to turn those people into wonderful, raving, happy customers? Four, how are you going to deliver an incredible experience for those people? If you can identify how you're going to do those things, and you focus on doing the stuff that matters, like really building the things in your business that matter, that are going to actually get you a result, then your time is going to be, you're going to spend it so much more effectively. And the things that you show up and do, even if it is 30 minutes, you're going to have a really productive 30 minutes. The last thing you want is to set aside 30 minutes or 2 hours or whatever it is for your business and to show up and feel like you don't actually know what to do, because that is a sinking feeling and you're going to just feel crap about yourself. Like it's going to feel really terrible. So make sure that, read the books, listen to the podcasts, join the programs. Like I said, there's so much goodness out there that can help you. I mean, start like my book, She Means Business. It's a great place to start if you want to build a business. There's literally a 28-day business blueprint in it. So the link, it will be in the show notes if you've not read it, or you can listen to it on Audible as well. Or join us in the membership. Join us, come and, or find somebody that you really love learning, you love, and go and look at what programs or courses they have and immerse yourself in this, because you can, when you learn how to do the things you need to do, the right things, you can create success so much faster. And that is what you want. You don't want to be feeling like you're bashing your head against a brick wall trying to make progress and feeling like you're wasting your time, because then you're going to start to feel like, what am I doing this for? And then you're going to feel guilty that you're spending that time to build your business away from spending time with your kids. And then, you're going to be like, what's it for? It's going to feel frustrating. On the same theme, when you are spending time with your kids and your family, what are you going to be doing, and how can you organise to be doing fun things? So, at the beginning of the year, I wrote down a list of 12 really fun places to go to and things to do, so that we could do at least one a month. And to be fair, I haven't actually been the best at sticking to it, but we have done some really flippin' amazing things. When I look back over this year, we've been to so many cool places. We went to Tenerife, we went to Greece, we've been away in the motorhome multiple times. We spent the month of August in California. We've done so many fun things, and I think it's about really getting intentional about how you want to spend that time with your kids. That's actually something else I didn't mention before, but I have a goal to try and take off as much time in the school holidays as I can to be with my kids. And I'm not perfect and I don't take all of them off, but I do take a lot of time off, and it's very intentional. And for me, it's more important to spend that time with the kids than it is to progress things in the business. So I'm willing to make those decisions in this season of my life that I'm in right now. So yes, getting really intentional about how you are actually spending your time, and plan it all out in your calendar so you know what you're doing, because then you're going to feel so much better about yourself, because you're going to be so much more on it with how you're showing up for your business and for your family. So anyway, that's just a little bit of my thoughts on this topic. Like I said, I do not have this perfectly figured out by any stretch of the imagination, but I do feel like right now I am at a place where I'm feeling so much better than I was feeling when I wasn't being this organised and this disciplined with my time, and I didn't have the non-negotiables, I didn't have those boundaries in place, and it just all felt a bit like it was mashed together. And so, and the other thing as well is, like I said, getting that help in my business, whether it's like from a mentor or whoever. Like I joined a mastermind, I surround myself with people that are doing this stuff so that I can do it more effectively and can grow with more ease. And I think that's really important. I've always thought that was really important. If you want to grow, if you want to build a successful business, then get yourself surrounded with other people building successful businesses. It is a game changer. So anyway, I hope this is helpful for those of you that do have young kids or are thinking about having young kids. I do think there is a way for you to structure it so that you can create the life that you truly want, and a life where you're going to really enjoy both your family and your business and your work. I think it's just about being really honest with yourself about what's right for you and following that so that you live the life you want to live. Because there isn't I don't think, there's just a lot of different ways to do this, but it depends on what feels right for you and what you actually want. So let that lead you, and then just get really intentional about your time. Anyway, if you've loved this, I would love to hear from you on it. And if you have any questions for me and you want me to discuss specific things on the podcast, then let me know. There's details below as to how you can get in touch with us and ask your questions. And also, if you have loved this episode, I would appreciate it so much if you could leave me a review over on Apple Podcasts. I know this is actually hosted in many places, but if you could leave us a review over there, that would be so helpful, because it will help so many more people to find this podcast show. So yes, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time for another episode of the She Beats Business Show.